Business Insider senior editor Josh Barro. Mike Pesca is the host of the Slate's daily podcast, The Gist. I don't know, maybe it's 2020. He's already sort of getting his arguments together for people like Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, yeah, fine marshaling of the arguments. Look, let's say you were a Montanan and the stated purpose there is to convince you not to vote for Jon Tester. What arguments, we didn't play the whole speech, but I read it. What arguments did he possibly put forth for you to say, my senator, who spends 12 hours a day harvesting his feed because he's an actual farmer in Big Sandy,
who just spent a lot of money advertising his love in newspapers for Donald Trump.
Yeah. So he's
Welcome Donald Trump to Montana.
He's playing politics smart, but what did he say to connect to the lives of Montanans? Not the people who are there for that hilarious roast comedy of the President of the United States, but what did he say to convince you Jon Tester is not helping your life and my policies are? And I would say nothing. I would say Jon Tester will probably win re-election. What did that all amount to? It just amounted to what Donald Trump always does, which is trying to dominate the ether, but going nowhere.
Well, I mean, he loves to go after President Obama and Hillary Clinton. He did that last night. Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders. But let me add, he also again mocked George H.W. Bush, somebody who just lost his wife, who has had health difficulties, been in and out of the hospital, about his 1,000 points of light. He went after, again, a Republican senator named John McCain, a genuine war hero, who is fighting brain cancer. And he jokes, Josh, about the Me Too movement, a man who is on tape talking about sexually assaulting women.
Well, I mean, I think that when the president sort of relives the greatest hits of the 2016 campaign, and part of this was in the campaign, he'd offend people over and over, and people would say, oh, well, this is the end. This is the thing that he did that people can't possibly stand. And, you know, he lost the popular vote nationally, but he won a very solid victory in Montana and some of these other, you know, interior states in the Great Plains and Upper Midwest. These are regions of the country where Donald Trump can go and say, people love my shtick. This worked here in 2016. It can work here again in 2018. And in terms of his pitch about, you know, why not vote for Jon Tester, I think the president looks at it and says, I'm really popular in Montana. I won a really big victory here in Montana, and all I need to do is make the case that, you know, you love me, vote for this guy because he's vote for Tester's opponent because he's with me, he'll support my agenda. And I don't think that's a crazy notion in a state that he won by as large a margin as Montana. Now, I think Tester probably will still win the Senate race because he has very well attuned himself to the politics of his state. But I don't think Trump needs to go in and seem like a local. He doesn't, you know, it's not that he relates to the people of Montana because they think he's like them. It's that they think that he shares certain interests and values and concerns and grievances that they have. And I think you saw that in the 2016 result.
He also keeps teasing about what he's going to do with the Supreme Court pick, right? And he gave us a few more little clues about what he's going to do to replace Justice Kennedy. Listen to this.
As you know, there's now a vacancy on the Supreme Court. And if you turn in Monday at 9 o'clock, I think you're going to be extremely happy with the selection, right? And they're all great. They're all great.
Now, let's say on the substance of this incredibly important moment, NBC News has learned that these are the three he's narrowed his list to: Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett, Raymond Kethledge. And yet, Josh, you talked about him, you know, you love my shtick. This is again going to be a reality TV announcement, 9 o'clock at night, and he's building it up like it's a reality TV show.
It's going to be a reality TV style announcement, but these are three picks that you would have seen on a short list likely for any Republican president. All three of these are federal appellate judges. They have solid conservative records, although Amy Barrett has been on the bench for less than a year, so her record is not as long as the other two. My sense from what I'm reading is that Kavanaugh is the most likely of these three names. And part of my judgment there is that you're sort of seeing an anti-Kavanaugh whisper campaign that sounds like it's coming from people who are trying to stop a train that is in motion. It's a pick that is conventional, that will likely please conservatives, and I think that you would likely see him as a solid conservative vote on the court were he confirmed, which he probably will be if he is named.
We have just enough time to get in one more thing here, and I think it's important, given what's going to be coming up in terms of meetings, to hear what he had to say about Vladimir Putin.
Will he be prepared? Will he be prepared? And I might even end up having a good relationship, but they're going, will President Trump be prepared? You know, President Putin is KGB and this and that. You know what? Putin's fine. He's fine. We're all fine with people. Will I be prepared? Totally prepared. I've been preparing for this stuff my whole life.
Mike, there's so much to unpack there, but let me do the obvious, which is what message does it send to nervous NATO allies who are going to be meeting with him ahead of the meeting with Vladimir Putin when he says, I've been preparing for this my whole life. It's going to be fine.
Well, it must be very discomforting, especially those nations that are on the border with Russia, especially.
You think some of the Baltics are a little nervous?
A little bit, because they really have skin in the game, and it's not just a rally in North Dakota for them. And if I could go back to the Supreme Court, let's realize all of those candidates can be on the court for 40 years. They're all young, in their 40s or 50s. And that's a really significant thing.
Well, it's not like he didn't say that's what he wanted to do, right? He said he wants to have the court.
And that's what he is delivering for his people. Nothing he said should influence a Montanan, because whether Tester's there or not, those picks will get voted in. But that is the tangible thing he's delivering.
So we also have another piece of news that kind of got buried yesterday because we had a little bit of news with Scott Pruitt, and we're going to talk about that coming up. But Bill Shine is the new communications director, Josh, someone who got fired from Fox for his role in the alleged sexual harassment. Being part of the cover-up is the allegation, something he's denied, but Fox got rid of him. What's the message here?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think one thing is that things that would normally be disqualifying personnel-wise are not disqualifying in the White House. We saw the president making that joke about the Me Too movement. You saw how long Staff Secretary Rob Porter stayed in place, not only given those credible allegations of abuse toward his ex-spouses, but the fact that that was interfering with his ability to get a permanent security clearance. So I don't think the president cares about what other people might have cared about. And then the other thing is, you know, the White House is very leaky, and the president has been very frustrated about all the leaks. And Fox News is an organization with a reputation for managing leaks and dissent and you know, expressions of displeasure internally to the media, managing that with an iron fist. So that's something that he might find very appealing about Bill Shine. There were a lot of stories that at Fox News that were necessary to try to prevent leaks about. The president would probably like to see that in his White House.
Mike, do you think he had anything to do with Pruitt finally resigning?
The hiring of Shine?
Yeah.
I think Shine's very good at what he does, actually, and he propelled a lot of shows to #1 in the ratings, and I think Trump probably respects Shine. And even with Shine's baggage, it seems like he's a lot more competent than the other people who have held that, perhaps not titular position, but actually done that job. He seems like 2 or 3 Scaramucci's to me.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.